6 needed, and that could be the winning hit. It is. It's 6 for Lewis Gregory, and Somerset have won by 6 wickets. Tremendous win for Somerset, chasing down 194 to win, with Will Smead leading the way.
Hello there, you're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd, and my guest this evening, I'm in esteemed company, very kindly giving up an hour of his time, I know you're a very busy man, is Sir Michael Barber, Chair of Somerset CCC, and a wearer of many hats in various guises over the years. Michael, thank you very much for coming on to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. And I have to ask you the obligatory question at this time of year as the nights, or the dark nights draw in. Are you wintering well?
Yeah, I'm wintering well so far. Thank you, Ian, and thanks for the opportunity to talk to you and your many followers. On a wet, cold October evening is the perfect time to remember the heady days of what was a fantastic summer for Somerset. So I'm delighted to have the opportunity to spend an hour talking about that. I'm looking forward to next season as well.
Yeah, definitely already. I mean, you mentioned the weather. I'm down here in Newton Abbot. It's been horrible all week, but I suppose
I live in North Devon, and out there it's pouring with rain. It's always beautiful, but it's a really wet evening.
Well, I mean, we did have a pretty glorious summer, so I suppose we are due a bit of rain over the winter. So let's just dump it down from October till March, and then we'll have a glorious summer again, and hopefully retain at least one trophy and win at least one more. I kind of wanted to just sort of touch base because it's been a pretty busy summer, kind of admin-wise, for yourself and Jamie, and indeed all the other 18, other 17 county leadership teams. Let's start with the big one then. This perennial desire just to mess around with and tweak the schedule. I mean, how much of your time was dealt with sort of trying to get 18 counties ducks in a row to find a schedule that everybody was happy with?
That was quite a lot of time. Before I will happily discuss that, I want to just say to everybody who's listening to this, I've just finished 4 seasons as chair, and as you said, I've worn many hats over the years, wear several at the moment, but I can't remember any that were as much of a privilege or as much fun, even though there are lots of challenges, as being chair of Somerset, because it's such a fantastic club. Our players are great, staff are fantastic, do a great job, and the members and the supporters are just a joy to spend time with. So just want to put that on the record because I love the place. Really enjoyed my 4 summers. But this year there was a proposal came from the professional game board of the ECB to reduce the amount of cricket generally. There was a pressure from the Players' Union, the PCA. They were saying the players were playing too much. We talked to our own players. That wasn't the view of Lewis and our squad. And in fact, there are roughly 400 professional cricketers in this country playing for the counties. On the busiest day of the season, about 200 of them are playing. That means 200 aren't playing. If you talk to our team, people like Lewis Goldsworthy, who had a good run at the end of the season, want to play more cricket. Casey Aldridge wants to play more cricket. That's one of the reasons he's chosen to go to Durham, because he wants to play in all the formats. The issue about player workload is an issue, but that's a job for the clubs to manage. It's not a matter of the schedule of games. And the schedule is a bit of a muddle. But what we argued, Jamie and I, consistently, is the answer is not to have fewer games or less cricket. It's how you organise the schedule. It's how clubs manage squads. We lost on the Blast. We lost 2 games, so that will go down from 14 to 12. Our players love the Blast. You can see how good they are. Our members and supporters love watching them, and they are the best white ball team in the country. So they were sad about that. On the county championship, what Jamie and I said consistently, consulting the players and the board and members at one of our after match sessions with members, is we would be open to looking at changes or improvements in the schedule, but we're not interested in debate about just having less cricket. We're a county that loves playing cricket. Our players love it. Our supporters love it. The whole club loves playing cricket, even though that puts a lot of pressure on the staff, by the way. The more days cricket you have, there's a lot of work to do. So I know this is a long answer, Ian, but it's important. So Jamie and I led the charge on not having reductions in cricket. We lost on the blast, but we won on the county championship. And in the end, there were 8 other counties supported us. Surrey were always with us on the county championship. We think the county championship's important. We thought the alternatives weren't much better. If there had been some change proposed where you had fewer games in April and early May when it's cold and spinners can't spin the ball and you lose games to rain, and if it's not raining, it's cold. It's not the right time to play 6 games of county cricket, really. If there'd been a proposal to take some of those games and have them in August, when the kids are on holiday, you could get big family crowds as well as the regular membership attendance at our county championship matches, that we would have considered. I'm not saying we would have welcomed, we would have considered a reduction in the number of games in order to get more cricket in July and August. But that was never considered. And so we were opposed to any reduction that was just about having less cricket. We didn't think that made any sense whatsoever. And we are still open to creative solutions to the way the game's organised. You don't have to have the blast spread all in a block. You could have it spread in the season. You don't have to have the one-day cup where it is. You could spread it. I'm not recommending any of these things. I'm just saying there was no creativity in the process. So we fought the battle to maintain 14 games of county championship cricket. We love playing cricket. We know our members love playing cricket. We know we actually get good crowds at the county championship. Surrey do a brilliant job of getting crowds into the county championship. So the idea that it's a kind of forgotten thing. There are lots of clubs who don't sell county championship tickets. They want less because they lose money on every match. But that's their problem, not ours.
Definitely. It was a real 11th hour decision as well. I mean, what was sort of the communications going back and around between ECB and yourselves towards the end of September? I know Jamie, when I spoke to him at finals, they said the process could have been improved slightly with a little bit more planning. I mean, was it literally as sort of harem scarum as it appeared externally?
Harem scarum, I'm not quite sure it's the right word, but it wasn't. We didn't feel fully consulted. We felt pigeonholed from fairly early on as kind of opposition to change. But on the contrary, we were opposing simply having less cricket. We wanted a more creative approach, but there was no consultation. Nobody ever said to us, well, what would you like to see, Michael? Or what would you like to see, Jamie? Jamie was on the committee that started this work, but was constantly isolated, kept making these points. They kept making comparisons to Australia. He was, when he was captain of Somerset, he was also captain of Tasmania. He was a selector for the Australian cricket team for years. He knows what happens in Australia, and his views weren't taken seriously, and I think that was a big mistake.
So there's now going to be no more consultation on anything until 2029, I think, is the
that is
rumor.
what they've said.
Yeah.
Jamie and I wonder if that will hold, and we're happy to give some thoughts to, if it reopened, how should the process be improved? We had very few meetings of all the county chairs together. There was one at the end that was a bit fractious, but there should have been more effective consultation. I think the Professional Game Committee should have had a call with every county chair and chief executive and said, well, let's start with a blank sheet. How would you like the season to be set up? Then we'd have had to spell it out and put our stuff on the record, and then we could see whether any of it fitted together. But that never happened.
I'm going to sort of segue back in time now about 20 odd years, because I have just been on Amazon, a rather good book here about I'm about well, I'm on to about Rule 10, set up a delivery unit. So I'm just reading this. I'm a bit of a politics nerd. If you are watching on YouTube, I'm just holding up Sir Michael's excellent book, How to Run a Government So That Citizens Benefit and Taxpayers Don't Go Crazy, which talks about your time in the Tony Blair government from, was it 01 to 05?
Yeah, I was in number 10 from 01 to 05, but before that, I was 4 years in the Department for Education with David Blunkett.
So how does your time in Downing Street compare to sort of running, well, I say running, being the chair of Somerset and also dealing with all these other stakeholders in the championship or around the county game? I mean, what was more difficult and what was sort of the main differences and how do you sort of find that?
There are real parallels actually. And there's a later book, and I don't want to particularly promote my books, but there's a later book called Accomplishment, which looks at the lessons. Yes, yes. That takes what I learned from working in government and then shows how organisations like Team Sky um, and some great sporting teams have used what is effectively the similar model that we came up with. And my argument from those days that I learnt with amazing privilege to spend 4 years working for Tony Blair in number 10. And what we did was design a process to drive delivery on the key priorities. It sounds like a statement of the obvious, but nobody anywhere in the world had done it at the time. After I left number 10, I did that work with governments all over the world. Basically, really simple conceptually. It's not anybody can understand it. Doing it is difficult. So you've got to set some goals. What do you want to do? You've got to have a plan, obviously enough, but a real plan, not just a nice essay. So you set some goals, have a plan, review progress regularly using good data and good feedback, not just guessing. And then when the problem comes up, you don't give up on the goal, you solve the problem. And if the first solution doesn't work, you try again because the goal is important. And finally, you learn the lessons from all of that and apply it systematically into everything you're doing. So in number 10, I learned, for example, the way we brought health NHS waiting times right down. And then they were nobody waited more than 4 hours in A&E by the time we finished. Nobody waited more than 18 weeks from diagnosis to a routine operation. This is amazing. No, we're nowhere near that now. We did that systematically, and then I have applied that more recently into other organisations. I'm on an FA advisory body that has advised the managers of England teams since Gareth Southgate came in, and you can see they're not perfect, but they've done a lot more winning than they ever did before. I've done this work with Team Sky, who won several Tours de France in a row and some other grand tours. I'm not claiming credit. I just helped them sharpen their systems up. And in Somerset, as chair, you've got to avoid, as chair, telling everybody what to do because you've got a really good chief executive, whether it was Gordon and then Jamie. You've got a really good director of cricket, Andy, and a really good coach and a great team. And I've made a point of not getting directly involved in all of that because they're the professionals and they do a good job. You're trying to create a context where people are interested in performance and managing the budget in a way. It's not necessarily interesting for your listeners, but managing the budget so there's money to invest in cricket. So I have learned, yeah, it applies all the time. And on consultation, by the way, I learned a lot about how to deal with angry head teachers and health service professionals and lots of people who hate you. And I can talk about that at length, but I won't bore you on the subject now, but I'm happy to.
Let's just steer it back towards cricket a bit. I mean, you mentioned about sort of angry head teachers there. Do you think there's room for well, angry head teachers could easily be translated to angry chief executives if you are, fulfilling that sort of role at the ECB? Do you think there's something that's been missed over the last few years? Because there has been quite a lot of change in the last 4 or 5 years with the introduction of the 100.
Yeah.
Obviously, with franchise cricket as well as an external thing that ECB can't really control. Do you think there's been something missed there in where you're talking about the processes of delivery in government? Is there something that could have been done better at ECB, do you think, to manage how the 100 integrates with the rest of the county game?
Well, I think the current leadership, the current chair, Richard Thompson, and Richard Gould, who, as Somerset people know, managed our club very well. That leadership, that they've really improved things. When I started, to be honest, the relationships between the counties and the ECB were dreadful. I was absolutely shocked it was as bad as any set of angry head teachers. But the thing that gets through that, and I think the ECB have started to do that, are you set out your goals. This is the vision of what we want to do, and we're going to work with you to get these things done. We're not going to change the goals because that's where we want to take the game, and everybody's signed up to them. But we are going to work it out, and when problems come up, we're going to have a proper dialogue about it. What I found with on the waiting times, actually, when we were implementing that, the health service professionals didn't like it. They felt the pressure. When I was ill in 2015 with cancer, fully recovered, by the way, I've met lots of professionals, and you get talking, and they say, what do you do? And I thought, I used to remember all those waiting times targets that you hated. That was me, I said. And they said, well, no, we think that was a golden age. I said, you didn't say that at the time. And we have a nice conversation. So golden ages can be in the future. They don't have to be in the past. And with ECB, I think Richard Thompson and Richard Gould are showing some real signs of good leadership, fighting a good fight at international level, trying to get the counties involved. They're much better at consulting us collectively. And they're on the schedule. They actually delegated it to the county chairs through the professional game committee. And what that showed is that without their leadership, we struggled to get anything that was consensus. But if the two Richards had said, what about this option, and that option, and led it, maybe it would have been different. But to come back, you mentioned 100. The consultation process back when 100 was founded was completely wrong. Like we never had any chance to be involved in that. You wonder why, if you're sitting in the ECB, people in Somerset hated the 100 back then. They hated it because it was nothing to do with them, and it massively interfered with the whole way cricket was organised. It was very badly organised. And as you know, we Somerset now would love to be part of the 100 because the game is going that way, and we are very keen to be 100 ready whenever it opens up again.
Has there been any movement like that? I know there's sort of various rumours going around that it may happen in 2027. Obviously, it's too early now for 2026. But is there anything you're able to share, or is there just nothing to share?
I can share some things, but it's all very unclear. Basically, it won't happen until the media contract is renewed, which is 28-29. So there won't be any change before then. That there might be something I don't know, but so I don't think it's on the cards immediately. I think our job is to be ready to be able to compete for the 100, and the ECB leadership see that we're a very good country. We've won the Blast twice in the last 3 years, and in the intervening year we were in the final and lost. So we're on that evidence, we're the best team in the country at T20 cricket, and we send a lot of players to other 100 franchises. We could clearly do a fantastic job of competing in the 100. There are some criteria about improving the ground, which we're working on, so that if it opens up, we will be ready to fight to get into it. And we will need to find some sponsors. I think there'll be a lot of interest in the Southwest in a successful team that doesn't have any debt, that is well managed. And so I think we'll be ready, but we can't ensure we'll get into it. And we don't even know if it will be opened up, because the new franchises have the ability to stop it being opened up. It's not just down to the ECB.
I mean, you mentioned there about needing to improve the ground to become 100 ready. There's been sort of talks about how we could use any potential 100 windfalls anyway, and there's certainly repairs needing doing to the Botham stand. Is there anything kind of penciled in for the near future for spending the 100 money and any sort of ground improvements?
Yeah, we've got some. We actually had a board meeting this week. We will be doing some work on this work over this winter. But as you probably saw, I'm sure everybody saw the improvements to the pavilion to enable us to take on Tier 1 women's team with the nice steps and bridge over the path around the ground. All that was good. That was last winter's development and important. This year we definitely want to improve the area around where the Garner gate is, which is kind of neglected. The bar gets long queues, the toilets get long queues. It's a it's just not good enough. So we will do some work on that, and then we want to make something more out of the Thatcher's Terrace. So it's a fantastic place to view Taunton, not just the cricket.
Definitely.
So work on that, and then the idea is that this when we run off, there'll be a sequence of improvements, and both of them stand obviously needs improvement. And we've got some quite good plans coming together for, well, I say quite good, I think they're very good, but we've got to make sure they're implemented. And what I've been pressing, and I know the rest of the board supports, and Jamie too, is we don't want some big grand plan that you either have to do all of it or none of it. You want to be able to do it module by module over several seasons. But the ground improvement is very important because we need to be 100 ready. We also want our members and spectators to have a great time and to be well looked after. And the other thing is, if you just leave it as it is, the cost of maintaining it goes up all the time.
Yeah.
Last year, season before last, we did the underfloor drainage, which has been really much better. I don't know if you've noticed that, but that was expensive, but really worth doing.
Yeah, it's been noticeable how little Championship cricket we lost at Taunton this year. I know that the lack of rain helped, but when it did rain, they were on sort of pretty much almost straight away as soon as the covers were off. So it was a real, certainly a real improvement there.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that you do in the close season. Nobody notices it because you've got it all over. It's all underground, but really important for the public and for the cricket.
Absolutely, definitely. I mean, we touched on your second book accomplishment there. I mean, and I found it quite almost a paradox that you talked about working with the FA and Team Sky, but then with that Somerset kind of leaving Sarge and the guys to get on with it. I mean, if Sarge did ring you up and say, let's have a chat, Michael, what can we do? What can we do to get better? Do you think if you were suddenly director of cricket, what would you say? What can we do to get better? And what can we do to kind of keep ourselves as the best T20 team in the country and overall the best cricket team?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's not that I don't talk to Andy. I don't assert my authority as chair to interfere in what they do. But we have many conversations with Andy, and I involve him in conversations with other people that I know. So, for example, we had a session with Sarge and Jason and Matt, who runs the Pathway, and various others, with Simon Timpson, who's the performance director at Man City. So we get outside voices in to come and talk to our people. There are two things. There's many things, but there are two things I'd say instantly. One is, and if I was talking to Andy now about it, one is, now what do you have to do to keep winning? Like we won the Blast, then we were in the final, then we won it again. That's impressive, and it's tempting to think, well, we won it last year, so we'll just do the same again. But the whole world moves. I had a conversation at the FA with Serena Wiegman, who everybody knows, who won the women's Euros with the Netherlands, and then has now won it twice with England. And she said for this recent tournament, in which they were fantastic, the character, she really invested in the character and depth of the team and the team spirit. She also was happy to move on in team selection, and one or two celebrated players. The goalkeeper from last time changed. Millie Bright dropped out, and Serena loved those players, but she knew that it had to be a new team. So she actually talked to the team about it being a new England for this Euros, and that came through. So two lessons there. One is, if we're going to win the Blast again next year, which would be fantastic because we've won it 3 times, which makes us equal top in the number of teams, a number of wins. But next year, if we could win it again, we'd be ahead of the pack. We won't be able to do it with the same team. Sean Dixon's moving, Casey Aldridge is moving. Sean has been wonderful. Everybody who saw that quarter-final this year will remember him forever. But we have to be a new team. We've got some fantastic young players coming through. So we need to be a new Somerset by this time next summer to win again. The other thing is we need to shift a little bit. If we could find a way of getting that winning edge in the long form of the game, county championship, which obviously is the holy grail for Somerset, given that we've never won it. What would you have to do to get a team that wins that? And I think when I watch our teams in the county championship, we often play very well, but you have to have a level of consistency, session by session by session, and game by game by game, to win the county championship. Congratulations to Notts this year. When I look at Team Sky winning Grand Tours where you have to cycle 200 miles a day for 3 weeks, it's consistency, and the way they do that is very, very impressive. So there are lots of lessons you can learn. Sarge and I have these kinds of conversations. And the other thing is, we, as you know, and you help promote it, Ian, we're a very friendly club. People like Somerset, even if they support another county, they nearly always like Somerset, the second best.
We're everyone's
Everybody
second
likes
favourite
us.
team,
Yeah,
definitely.
they and people love us, and we have a fantastic reputation. I don't know if you saw Nick, the bus driver, talking about that on
Yes,
the
I
way out.
did. Yeah,
It's a
incredible.
wonderful few minutes. So that image of Somerset is there, and it's really important. And I would say it's as important as winning trophies and matches, that we have that effect on the world and that sense of passion from our own fans and the relationship to the community. But the question is, can you have that and have the winning edge to do what I just described in the county championship? I think we show that in the T20. If you look at, you were there for the quarterfinal, the semi-final, and the final in the last this year. That is unbelievable winning edge. Those games, there were moments in those games, quite long patches actually, when you thought the odds were against us winning, but they came through again and again and again. Whether it was Lewis Gregory hitting those 2 sixes right at the end of the final, whether it was the Lewis Gregory, the key Lancastrian batsman out at a crucial moment in the semi-final, or Sean Dixon's amazing innings in the quarterfinal. So we have got the winning edge there, but to get that winning edge combined with our character and do it session after session after session through a long county championship season, which after all we've defended having 14 games, that's a challenge.
Where do you think that winning edge comes from then? Because do you think you're born with it? Do you think it's sort of you can be taught it, or is it just a product of like osmosis of coming into a team that's already got it? You just absorb it, and it's kind of how you play, or can you be coached at it?
No, I think it can certainly be coached and learned. I think the captain, coach, and director of cricket play a big part, and I think Lewis Gregory's been an outstanding captain. He's got that winning mentality, and he's got that making things happen mentality. He brings himself onto bowl and something happens, or he gets a catch, or whatever. So he's got it, and he's injected that in the team. And I think the new young players coming through are also having some of that. So it's not that we can't do it; we do it. But to do it with the same consistency you need to win the county championship. Like if you have a session off, or occasionally we have a match off, to be honest, and we need to that it's that consistency, because we won 4 county championship this season. We probably need to win 7 to be on top of the table. So it's not fun. If you went through the season, you can see there are a couple of games we were very, very close to winning. We didn't win. And that's the other thing, that those key moments, keeping your fast bowlers fit and ready to strike, having more days of warm days of summer where the spinners can spin, because we've got fantastic spin attack. All of those things would play a part.
You talk about the team spirit. After you left the dinner, because I know you were showing that true Somerset spirit of coming off your sick bed to deliver your speech at the annual dinner a few weeks or so ago. I've got to say, you're looking at a lot better than you were up on the
I'm feeling a
podium.
lot better.
Jason Coe was talking to Spencer about the team spirit, and not 99% of the time when you hear a coach saying, "Oh, the team spirit's great amongst the lads and they're all really good friends," it's sort of almost back white noise. It just goes kind of, "Oh yeah, whatever." You know what? You genuinely feel that there's something special amongst this group of players. They were all upstairs singing karaoke with James Root at the end, and I don't know if you saw the video, but I'm sure
Yeah.
you said it, OT, but it was a cracking night, cracking team spirit, and there is something special going on here, isn't there?
There is something special, and I think successor Tom Abel and then Lewis Gregory have done a brilliant job of engendering that team spirit. I think Jason and Andy do a good job. Andy's very thoughtful about player recruitment from overseas or other counties, thinking about that team spirit. and that our cricket leadership sets the tone for all of that, and it is fundamentally important. When you see how we feel in the Blast, that's not just they are really good at fielding, but it's also the team spirit. Nobody wants to let anybody down. Craig Overton catches absolutely everything that gets thrown at him or hit at him, as do all the others. Whereas in the semi-final in the Blast finals day, Lancashire fielded really sloppily, and we won much on the fielding as anything else. The team spirit really makes a difference to performance. It really makes a difference to new players coming into the team as well. And I do think it's important. I credit our cricket leadership enormously with the way they've done that, and it's something that makes me very proud to be associated with Somerset, to be honest. Because you're not born with it. I mean, you're probably born with the ability to be a great cricketer, but it's engendered, it's built.
I think that's always the difference between the very good players and the great players at international level. I think players like Peterson, like Shane Warne, they just flint off. They just got some extra edge to their character, and they just want to win, and they don't accept second best at any
No, that's true.
stage at all.
It's very, very good observation, and it's the research that supports that. Because they did the British Olympic Team GB. They did a fantastic piece of research between London and Rio, where they took all the gold medalists from London, and they compared the gold medalists who won one gold medal to the multiple gold medal winning people like Laura Kenny, and the others who won 3, 4, 5, and they tried to see what's the difference between the two. I mean, winning any gold medal is an amazing achievement, really. But and what came through is exactly what you just said. The multiple gold medal winning sports people really, really wanted to win. To be honest, they also absolutely hated losing, which is the other side of the same coin. And they never said, well, I did my best and it just wasn't good enough. They hated losing. They said, what do I have to do to be like him or her? And I think you get that passion in the top players. You just mentioned a few cricketers who are like that. And the other thing that comes through is the really top athletes, people like Dennis Bergkamp in football. They just practice more. They're so committed to winning that they put the time in. It's almost never just natural talent on its own. It's natural talent with massive practice behind it. Dennis Bergkamp appears in accomplishment for the sheer amount of practice he did. He makes it look effortless, but it's not at all.
Well, as a gooner myself, I'm going to have to I'm looking forward to finding that. I also heard that Dennis Bergkamp was an absolute bastard as well in training as well. That's probably because of what you said. He's just so focused on winning, almost maybe to the detriment of his character and maybe relationships with his teammates to a certain degree.
But the question, Wenger had that for a while, didn't he? That you need to have those challenging characters like Dennis Bergkamp and manage them and build the team spirit in spite of where they are. There's a bit in the book that describes Dennis Bergkamp stays behind after training to play with the academy kids who just wants to practice some more. And Robin van Persie is watching him out the window. And he says, well, I'll just watch till Dennis makes a mistake. An hour later, Dennis hasn't made a mistake and Robin van Persie is still watching him. I mean, that's the commitment of that guy to being. If you're a gooner, you know what it's like. That he made those passes look absolutely effortless, but they weren't effortless. They involved massive practice, and I think our players are now the opportunities they get in the winter often help them perform in the summer.
The more I practice, the luckier I get. Was that Gary Player? Is that a Gary Player quote?
Yeah.
So the golfer,
Yeah.
I've had a good question coming from one of our listeners, Rob Reed. I know Rob is very passionate about this subject, about the sort of the state school versus public school pathway. I mean, we are, I suppose, blessed is the right word, that we've got 5 or 6 fantastic public schools around Taunton, almost at the nucleus of them all, really, and we're just so lucky to have that in providing players. But it's not good enough, really, that state schools are not represented as well. I mean, I'll read out Robert's question.
Yeah.
Somerset are doing great work by providing 50% extra training for state school CAG players, and maybe the only county doing this. Is there a delivery plan for when this could achieve significant change in the pro squad, which has a much lower state school percentage than the national average? I know this is something that you're particularly passionate about, even to the degree that you've dug into your own pocket to finance some of this personally. So, I mean, do you think we'll ever get that magic number of professional cricketer representation being the same as it is in the sort of the national ratio?
I think we're a long way from that, obviously, as implied in your question, but I think we can certainly make progress towards it. And I know Rob Reed is constantly feel in touch with him on Twitter, and I appreciate a lot of his commentary. And it's a really good point. But the first thing I do want to say is, as you said, there are 4 or 5 great private schools, public schools near us from whom we draw. King's Taunton I've been to, Blundell's I've been to. These are really good schools. Sometimes they're recruiting players who've come to a state school and then giving them a scholarship. And we shouldn't forget that, because that in that case they're being a kind of it's
Finishing school kind of thing. Yeah.
They are being a bit like finishing school. So and we love our partnership with those schools, and long may it continue. What I put my personal funding in was to support this extra cricket for the state school kids, particularly during the winter, so that they get closer to what a public school kid is experiencing through the winter. And it's girls and boys, by the way. And it's in the end, we're just talking about practice and Dennis Bergkamp. In the end, it's about how much time you get to play and how many opportunities you get to play, and when can you make the most of the winter and come back stronger. What Rob, I think, is asking is for a plan with a trajectory. When will that investment turn into professional cricketers from a state school background? And the answer to the question, we haven't put a number on that or a trajectory, but we have got a plan. And it's Matt, who runs the pathway, is doing a fantastic job of that. So the pathways is looking strong. We've got some good players coming through. We've just seen the younger Rue brother break through into the team. There are more to come. So and that will begin to happen with the girls. But we're quite a long way from the first professional cricketer coming through the Somerset pathway from pure state school education into an England team. Hopefully into a Somerset team a bit sooner. But we're on the case, and as Rob says, I think we're the only county doing that. Durham do very well, by the way, because they don't do it through the schools, they do it through the clubs in Durham, and that is the other route. We have a fantastic club game, and the clubs help a lot with that. So that's the other relationship that's fundamental to this.
So is that done through the Somerset Cricket Foundation then? Because I know that sometimes the Somerset County Cricket Club, obviously the leagues, and then the foundation, the pathway, they all kind of sort of merge into one. If you're kind of not quite sure where the sort of the boundaries are you able to kind of just clarify kind of where they all fit in the pathway?
Is absolutely part of the club. It's part of Somerset County Cricket Club because it's our future. If you look at, I mean, we were talking about the Blast a few minutes ago. When we won the Blast final, 7 of the players in the team were locally born and bred. By locally, I mean Cornwall, Devon, Somerset, and they'd come through the pathway, and they're Somerset through and through. And it's one of the things that helps engender the team spirit we're talking about, because they've grown up together. So the pathway is our future, and the players that go on and play brilliantly for England, like Jack Leach and so on, are really important. Tom Banton, Shoaib, he came from another pathway, but the England players also come through our pathway. So it's a fundamental part of running the club, and Matt Drakeley's role is absolutely crucial to that. And that's part of the club. Foundation does lots of stuff with schools that helps kids play cricket, girls and boys. They've expanded that, and I'm really proud of our relationship with the foundation. The ECB look at Somerset and they see this very strong relationship with the foundation and ourselves, and they really back it. But it's not, they don't do the pathway, they do lots of schools cricket people will have heard of Chance to Shine and those kinds of things. So the foundation is fundamental, but the foundation also does other stuff. It does walking cricket with elderly people. It helps deal with dementia. When I'm not remembering names, I think one day I'm going to depend on the Somerset Cricket Foundation to help me with that. So they do fantastic work on mental health, on dementia, and with young people and with schools. And they've just got new leadership, which is very, very inspiring. I think they'll be a continuing very strong partner for us. And they help. We help each other. The foundation and the club help each other enhance their reputation, but they don't run the pathway. That's us. That's the core club responsibility.
Good stuff. Thanks for clarifying that. I had a question that I was going to open with, which seems a little bit daft to do at 45 minutes in, but we'll give it a go anyway. Well, it was just sort of with your background, kind of extensively in politics, is how you kind of came to be a sort of a supporter and eventually the chair of Somerset County Cricket Club.
My background is mainly in government as opposed to politics,
Oh.
but I have to. I was years and years ago a parliamentary candidate and a councillor in London. And politics and government go together. But I've worked for 8 of the last 9 prime ministers, so I'm not very party political. I'm a Blairite basically certainly on domestic policy. If you ask me my views, but I want to succeed, and so I'm happy to work with other prime ministers if the task makes sense to me. But on the I moved to North Devon in 2010. I lived in Hackney for 30 years. My wife had been saying for years we're going to live in the country, and by 2010 I'd been 5 years out of government, had a job as a consultant. I'd earned enough money to buy a nice place in Devon with some land. So that's how I ended up in this region, and I followed cricket. And my first job was as a teacher. I ran the second 11 cricket team in a state school, by the way, and was part of the coaching of the first team squad as well some of the time. And that time, this seems like ages ago. It was the early 80s. I was also captain of the staff cricket team. We played cricket against other schools on a Thursday evening, and it was wonderful. So I've always loved cricket. I was never anything other than an ordinary club cricketer, but I loved it. So I've always had a passion for cricket. I've always tried to get to test matches. While I was in government, I didn't get that much because I was totally overwhelmed. But then when I was here in North Devon, I thought I got interested in Somerset. There's a guy called Peter Wanless. You'll know he's our president.
Yeah.
He's been on your show.
Yeah, we can't get rid of him. He just, even when he's not on, he just clicks the link and turns on.
Well, yeah, I knew him from government days, and he invited me along to a Somerset match. Not that long ago, 5 or 6 years ago. I went along. I'd been brought up in Lancashire, and this was Somerset against Lancashire, so that was all good. Back in the 70s, I was.
Oh, that wasn't the 77 all-out game, was it, or was that a few years after?
No, it wasn't. No, and then some months later, the club advertised for a chair, and I thought I want to do something local. I love cricket. I love Somerset Royals, my second favourite team, like everybody else. When I was a Lancashire boy, I saw them win their first trophy in 1979. I had a ticket for that Gillette Cup final and watched Viv Richards get his 100 and Joel Garner get 6 wickets. So I just put in an application, to be honest. So that's where it came from, and I loved it from that moment onwards. Whenever I do a new thing, I read a history of it before I do it. So if I go and do some work for Justin Trudeau, I read a history of Canada. If I apply for a job as chair of Somerset Cricket, I read a history of Somerset Cricket. And I thought, what an amazing organisation this is.
Yeah, there have been several good histories of the club written over the years.
Yeah. And we did a new one this year for the 25th, 150th anniversary that Richard Walsh put together. Richard Walsh is top man, and that anybody wanting to know what we've done over the last 150 years, you should read that. There's one other thing I haven't talked about through this, which I want to come back to whenever I get a chance, but I don't want to stop your flow either.
No, the floor is yours. The floor is yours. Well, the virtual floor, anyway.
I don't know how long I'll be chair for, but when I look back on my time as chair, I'm very confident that the biggest thing will be the introduction of a Tier 1 women's cricket for Somerset. They had their first season. The women did a good job of getting established. They had some ups and downs. two of our women are playing regularly in the World Cup team now, doing well. So I think when we look back from even 10 years away, but never mind 50 or 100, we will look back and say, wasn't it a great thing that Somerset got in early on Tier 1 women's cricket? I'm really proud that we did that. Really proud of the way the women have got started for Somerset. And as I said at the awards evening, it took the men over 100 years to win their first trophy. I think the women will get there much faster than that.
Definitely, let's hope so. It's been quite a looking at just sort of these, say you've been doing the job for you, it's been quite turbulent, hasn't it? We've had the introduction of Tier 1 women's cricket. We've had all the furore and the hullabaloo with the fixtures this year, the introduction of 100 and the impact that's having. I mean, are you looking forward to a quiet 2026 in the job, or have you got sort of plans here, there, and everywhere to kind of shake things up a bit?
I don't know. I don't know, but it has been a turbulent time, and one of the things you discover as chairman is that quite a lot of people who don't know that much about cricket assume that if you're chairman, what you actually sit and do is watch cricket all day in the sun, and people bring you a glass of cider. It isn't like that. This year I got much less cricket than I like actually, because I do love watching the cricket. But yeah, it has been a turbulent time, and it will continue to be because the game is globalizing in a dramatic way. I spoke to a former uh, fast medium seamer who had left county cricket, and I said, "What are you going to do next?" He said, "I've just been interviewed to be the fast bowling coach for the German women's cricket team." Who would have imagined anybody saying that? China is spending hundreds of millions, I'm not exaggerating, of dollars on preparing for cricket because it's going to be in the Olympics in Los Angeles in 2028. So the game is globalizing, and that's affecting everything. And the bulk of the money is in short forms of the game, and the bulk of the money is in India, so it's Asian. And the ACB has to manage our relationship with all of that. So there are pros and cons. And then each of the counties has to manage how we think about our place in the global game. And the big ambition at Somerset is we want to be at the top table of cricket. We want to be able to play top class cricket in this country that would be exciting seen from abroad, which it is currently. And to keep up with that, it's going to be a challenge for whoever is chair, either myself now or whoever comes afterwards. And it's going to be a challenge for the next few years.
Definitely. The Saudis haven't really got their teeth into cricket yet. We know what they've been doing with boxing and snooker
Golf.
and all of that. So golf and everything like that. So you'd think it would certainly be on their radar. And that again is probably going to be another seismic shift, depending on how much money they're willing to put into that and how much disruption they think they can cause.
Yes, and you want more investment in cricket is it's got to be a good thing. But what I always used to say and still say when I'm working with governments is don't start with the money, start with the vision, start with what you want to do. How would you like this to be different in the future? What would we like cricket in England and Wales to be like in 10 years' time? And then the vision of that, and that's got to fit into the global game. And then what do we want Somerset role to be? And what we say in board at the moment is we want to be at the top table of cricket, competing with the best. We want to have a ground that people love coming to. We want to be a team that inspires the Southwest, not just Somerset, Devon, Cornwall, and we want to just keep competing at the top level because that's how we're going to inspire people. And we'd love our members and our current spectators to think that their children and grandchildren can come to Taunton and watch great cricket for the next two generations and beyond, obviously.
Great stuff. So are you? I gather you're up for re-election at the AGM in whatever in May, don't we? So
I came up for a re-election this last May.
oh, it's the 3-year term, is it?
The 3-year term, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I've been completely. Well, I hope it's come through in the interview. I just love the place. I love Somerset cricket. I love our team and our relationship with the Southwest community. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a special place. As soon as you walk through the gates, you just fall in love with
Yeah.
it. It's intoxicating, and then not just to
Actually,
the inside.
while you're on that moment, I'm sorry. One day last year, there was a rain break it was in the One Day Cup, and it was the day we do called Family Day, and I walked around the ground, and the rain had been brief, and the sun was coming out, and the game was about to start again. What I saw were families having a fantastic day out, kids playing cricket in the playground, people enjoying chatting, people going to the shop, people buying food, whatever. It just felt we're at the heart of a community, and Somerset, to be Somerset County Cricket Club, has got to keep winning things, winning matches, hopefully winning trophies, but it's also got to be that thing that inspires the Southwest.
Yeah, I think the club have done a great job in sort of seizing the disappointment, if you like, of not having the 100 and playing the quote unquote development competition, of really sort of turning that round and saying, right, what can we do with these days? And then they have the beer festival, the family days. Did it with the women's T20 game, the standalone one, when the men were up at Gloucester, getting the Taylor Swift tribute in, getting all those audience in. So yeah, really just great stuff. Although for the family day, need a big screen in the car park. Just for all the dads who are sort of stood waiting for their kids to have a go on Hoopla or whatever, just to keep an eye on the game. I'm sure that would come up for discussion next year. This has flown by. It's been a pleasure having you on, Sir Michael. Is there anything else that you wanted to have a quick chat about? Or
no, I think I've loved to talk about it, and I'd love to come on again if I'm invited.
Of course.
I want to thank all the people who support Somerset. And we had a good season. We'd love to win the county championship as well. We'll come back and compete next year. But I love our supporters, families of supporters, people who support us, our members. They're what makes this club a great club. And the players are just, as we were talking about earlier, just fantastic people doing a brilliant job. And next year, I hope that we'll come back competing to win a trophy of some sort again.
The big one.
Fantastic young players. The big one will be, if to win the county championship, would obviously be nirvana for Somerset.
It would definitely. It would absolutely. I don't think I'd go to bed for a week if we did.
Yeah.
Oh, it would definitely be something special.
Come back following season saying we've got to do that again, wouldn't we? But anyway, but doing it the first time will be special.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time, Sir Michael. I'm not sure when we're going to be on next, but I think we normally do one a month over the winter, guys. So, yeah, we'll probably be with you towards the end of November. Or if there's any seismic Somerset news, such as any signings in the woodwork, do we know of any early rumours that you're able just to give us a tease of? Yeah. Oh, that's a shame. But, yeah, definitely need strengthening in the fast bowling department. So keeping a keen eye on that area.
We will need that, absolutely. But if we're going to win the county championship.
Absolutely.
We've got the spin attack we need strength, because there you do have that's the toughest bit physically in cricket, isn't it? Fast bowling. To win the championship, you've got to have people who can come in, and you've got to be able to rotate your squads. So absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Batsmen score runs, bowlers win your games, as a very wise man once said. I'm not sure who it was, probably Boycott.
Yeah, and catches win matches.
Captains win matches. Exactly. Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Well, thanks again, Sir Michael. I know you're a very busy man, so thanks for making time for us. And yeah, I'm sure we'd love to have you on again in the future. But cheers, everyone.
Yeah. Cheers.